our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to talk about the economy in the African continent in the year 2021. But first, we'll start with this report where Sudan said it has grave concern from the second filling of Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam. Sudanese Minister Yasser Abbas said in a message to South Africa, the current chair of the AU, that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a direct threat to the Sudanese Rosiri Dam. More details about the latest developments in the following story by Samah Sharif.
In a message to South Africa, Sudan's Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources Yasser Abbas has expressed his concern over Ethiopian official statements that Addis Ababa would go on with the second filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in the summer of 2021. In the statement published by the Sudanese news agency SUNA, Abbas expressed his grave concern over the announcement of the Ethiopian Minister of Irrigation and Electricity on his country's intention to proceed with the implementation of the filling for the second year with 13.5 billion cubic meters of water next July without prior notification and without signing an agreement. According to Abbas, this is considered a direct threat to the Rosiers Dam and to the lives of the inhabitants on the banks of the Nile. The Sudanese minister has also confirmed that there has been lots of damage following the first filling of 5 billion cubic meters of water and caused problems in the water stations in Khartoum. Both Cairo and Khartoum objected to the unilateral decision last July, when Ethiopia declared that it completed the first filling of the dam without returning back to both countries or reaching a final legal binding agreement on the filling and operation of the dam. Sudan has been vocal that the GERD is a direct threat to the Rosiers Dam. Nevertheless, Abbas affirmed in the messages Sudan's commitment to continue negotiations on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam under the auspices of the African Union at any time in the event that the methodology negotiation is amended by giving a greater role to experts. Sudan has pulled off the latest round of talks after being surprised that the AU has called to resume tripartite negotiations, ignoring its demands of holding bilateral meetings between the experts and each of the three countries separately to discuss and identify points of difference.
The UN says almost 2.3 million people need aid in Ethiopia's Tigray region, the scene of the heavy fighting between the government forces and the Tigrayan People Liberation Front, the TPLF. More details.
Fighting is still going on in several parts of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, and almost 2.3 million people, or nearly half of the population, need aid. The statement came in a UN report over the situation in the hotspot area. Ethiopians who fled the ongoing fighting in Tigray region are receiving relief aid at the Raquba camp in the Sudan-Ethiopia border. The UN report, the most comprehensive public assessment of the humanitarian situation in Tigray since conflict erupted there on November 4, was posted online late on Thursday. It said food supplies were very limited, looting was widespread, and insecurity remained high. Federal government troops are fighting in the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF), a political party that was governing the province. The government declared victory in late November, though the TPLF vowed to fight on. Ethiopia's National Defense Force said late on Thursday that 4 senior TPLF members had been killed and 9 arrested. The whereabouts of the TPFL leader, other members of the party's Central Committee, and many high-ranking former military officers remain unknown. The findings in the humanitarian report stem from 2 missions conducted at the end of December by the UN and government agencies. They said the humanitarian situation was dire and 2 out of 4 refugee camps in Tigray remained inaccessible. The report said fighting was reported in rural areas as well as on the periphery of regional capital Mekelle and the towns of Shire and Shiraro, among other locations.
And moving on to Ghana, where many Ghanaians have expressed various views about the spectacle that unfolded in Parliament when lawmakers assembled to choose the Speaker for the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. More details.
Ghanaians on Thursday witnessed perhaps one of the most chaotic and drama-filled election of the Speaker of Parliament since the beginning of the country's democratic journey. Many Ghanaians have since expressed various views about the spectacle that unfolded in the chamber when lawmakers assembled to choose the Speaker for the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. Parliamentarians on both sides of the House, the National Democratic Congress (NDC) and the New Patriotic Party (NPP), split in the middle in terms of parliamentary seats, engaged in fisticuffs, insults, heckling, and worse of it, ballot snatching. All this happened because of misunderstanding that erupted among the two parties on procedures that should be adopted for the election of the Speaker. Many of the members of Parliament admit that it was unfortunate that their democracy should display such misbehavior in the full glare of the people who voted for them to go to the House.
And to shed light about the Egyptian-African ties in 2021, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone Mr. Raouf Ghaffar, our economic and political expert. Mr. Ghaffar, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, my dear.
Mr. Ghaffar, how do you view the Egyptian-African ties in 2021? What are your expectations for the ties between Egypt and Africa in the coming or in the current year?
If you're talking economic ties,
Yes.
then I hope for the COVID-19 to disappear as soon as possible, so that we can resume our trade ties and economic ties at full speed. But in any event, the economic ties between Egypt and Africa has been improving in a very sort of high pace over the last 5 or 6 years, and
Yes.
it is still improving and increasing. And we are talking here not only goods going from one part from Egypt to African countries, but we are talking projects established in different countries, Egyptian entrepreneurs executing mega projects in different African countries.
Yes.
So I mean, all sorts of economic relation has been going on and will continue.
Yes.
But if we're talking other ties, of course, the experience we had with the COVID-19 ordeal showed how much Egypt has given all the help the African countries needed, and medical support and medical
Yes.
equipment, etc., was directed to different African countries who needed it, and we are still, as a matter of fact, doing it more and more as long as we
Yes.
need to do it.
Yes.
If we are talking political, of course, the ties are always very excellent with 99% of the African states.
Yes.
If we are talking peace and security, needless to say, the efforts that have been exerted by Egypt to establish security and stability in different parts of the world, of Africa,
Yes.
leading to the signature of understandings and agreements, and namely Sudan and South of Sudan,
Yes.
etc., etc. Yes.
Yes. Mr. Ghaffar, how do you list the challenges to African capitals in the months to come?
How?
How do you list the challenges to the African capitals in the months to come?
Well, the challenge of COVID remains
Yes.
the number one challenge. I mean, that came up last year, and hopefully will not continue for long. So this is one, again, in some other countries, the challenges are with the spreading of fanatism and terrorism, but they are minimal. The third challenge is that the economic situation in some of the African countries
Yes.
is not as strong, so they are, in need of any external help they can get, sort of helping their economy to sustain the bad times and the hard times and maybe grow.
Indeed. Mr. Ghaffar, how do you view the coordination between Cairo and the other Nile Basin countries with regard to the Nile Waters file?
Well, excluding the Renaissance Dam negotiations that have been going on and on and on, with the unexplainable stalling of Ethiopia,
Yes.
the relation cannot be better between Egypt and all the Nile countries, the Nile Basin countries, without exception. And we have been always helping with their structures over the Nile, with all their dam building. As far as the Nile is concerned, Egypt is taking care of, I should say, most of the basin, and it is keeping its relation with all the basin countries as excellent as it could possibly be, except for this Renaissance Dam that we should hope it will come to an end very, very soon.
Yes. Sir, how can the Nile Basin Cooperation help in boosting the economies of these countries, the Nile Basin countries?
First of all, the river navigation should be given more importance. We know that the navigation and the transport through rivers is very cheap. And I think we should emphasize on that, and we should tie all the Nile Basin countries together with a navigation line through the Nile. I'm sure this will, number one, will increase the amount of exchange of goods and trade between the different Nile Basin countries, and will reduce the cost considerably between all the Nile Basin countries.
Indeed. Mr. Raouf Ghaffar, our political and economic expert, always a pleasure to listen to your precious input. Thank you very much, sir. And with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. I'm Mahisty Rabia. Many thanks for watching.